Let's talk about keyword clustering now. So the whole idea about keyword clustering is to really take advantage of the keywords that we're optimizing for to gain higher ranking. So if we can cluster keywords together in a theme, and that theme of keywords is relevant to a specific page of a website, then we have a better opportunity to rank. So in other words, why do we have to target just one keyword when we can target many? So keep in mind, LSI keywords, we want to group a bunch of keywords together that are similar for content. So for example, after some keyword research, you can thematically group keywords into a core topic. So for example, we can cluster these group of keywords together. Like for example, what is SEO? How does SEO work? Intro to SEO. What are the basics of SEO? All of those are related to the core theme. What is SEO? Another cluster of keywords, for example, could be SEO techniques, SEO best practices, tips and tricks, website optimization, on-page SEO techniques, etc. So those are clusters of keywords, okay, that we can group together in themes. And if we group keywords together in themes, we can apply that to a particular content on our website. So the whole idea behind clustering keywords, it's going to provide more diversity, more of an opportunity for us to be found. So that's the whole idea behind clustering. So some additional steps. Remember, stay up to date on industry news. So brainstorm your ideas first and identify a list of keywords, i.e. a theme of keywords that you can cluster together. And then you could determine the keywords that your competitors are already ranking for. So, for example, if we want to rank for the keyword SEO best practices, for example, we can use a tool called Keyword Moz. If I go to the Keyword Explorer tool in Moz and just type in SEO best practices, what it's going to do is it's going to give me some volume related to that particular keyword. But more importantly, what it's also going to do is it's going to show me what pages are already ranked for that particular keyword. So therefore, I can get a sense of who is already ranking for that keyword. So here I can see Moz, Medium.com, Alexa.com. So I can get a sense of what web pages are ranked for a particular keyword or group of keywords I want to rank for myself. So if we look at tools for keyword research, look no further than Moz. That's the Moz is the tool I would just use, but you could also use Google's Keyword Planner, which we used in the example. So for example, if I go back to the Google Ads Keyword Planner, if you're in Google Ads, you click on Tools, you click on Keyword Planner. And what Keyword Planner does is it provides you, for a particular keyword, the average monthly search volume over the past 12 months. It provides you information on seasonality. So if I hover my mouse over a graph, I'm going to be able to see the volume per month over the last 12 months. What the Keyword Planner also does is it provides me some additional ideas for my particular keyword. And in addition to that, it's going to provide me some sense of how competitive that keyword is by telling me whether it's low, medium, or high in terms of competition. So there's SEMrush. There's also other additional keywords tools out there like WordStream or Href or the Reddit tool, Keyword It. And then Moz is another tool I particularly use. So if I go to Moz again, here I can just type in a keyword that I'm interested in. It's going to give me the search volume of that keyword. It's going to give me the level of difficulty, so 50 out of 100. So it's halfway between difficulty and easy. And then it's going to give me some additional metrics. Like, for example, what my expected organic click-through rate would be if I were to rank for this keyword. But more importantly, what I like about this is we could see exactly what other sites are linked to this particular keyword we're interested in. So here I can look at the top 10 list. So this is Moz's Keyword Explorer tool. So that's what this tool is, and it's part of Moz.com. So there's a lot of tools at your disposal. I particularly use Moz. I particularly use Google's Keyword Planner. And those are the tools I use, but there are lots of tools out there. Google Analytics. I'm very excited to be with you today because Google Analytics is one of my favorite Google platforms, and my favorite topics. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. And we're going to start out with how to set up a Google Analytics account. And so we're going to talk about everything that entails, including creating your Google Analytics account. We're going to talk about setting up a property in your account and what a property is. We're going to talk about setting up a reporting view in your property, and we're going to talk about installing the tracking code. So those are the series of steps we're going to go through today in terms of setting up a Google Analytics account. So let's get right to it. And so really the one prerequisite here when it comes to setting up a Google Analytics account is to have a Google login and ID. So when you actually go to Google Analytics, you need to be able to sign up or sign in. And so once you actually sign in, then you're going to go walk through a series of steps. But really, that's really all you need to get the account going is a Google ID and login. So if you have a Gmail account or an other email account that you use for other Google products, then you're good to go. That's all you need to do. So when you actually go to sign up for Google Analytics, you're going to be asked to set up a new account. And these are the series of steps you're going to walk through or go through to set up a new Google Analytics account. So you're going to choose an account name. And then you're going to choose a property name. Okay, so the account name can be anything you want it to be. The name of your company, your name, whatever you want to name it. The property name is really the website name. So what website are we talking about? So here I'm going to set up a fictitious website name for now. It's called Demo Simply Learn. So the URL for this website, Demo Simply Learn, is going to be demo.simplylearn.com. So that's the property. When we talk about properties in analytics, we're really talking about what websites we want to measure. And then you're going to be asked to choose an industry category. And so for Simply Learn, we're in jobs and education. But you have a number of different industries that you could choose from. It's as important. Go ahead and choose the most relevant industry that your particular business is associated with. Okay, and I'm going to talk about why that's important here in a minute. And then you're going to choose your time zone. And the time zone is also important because that's when the day starts in analytics and the day ends based on that time zone. So the data that Google Analytics collects starts and ends with that time zone. So very important to choose the time zone your business is located in. Okay, and then you have some additional options here. Okay, so you have some settings. And so the first setting is to allow Google products and services. So if you opt into this, then basically what Google's going to do is share some products and services with you via email. I would go ahead and opt into that. That's of course recommended by Google. It doesn't hurt to hear from Google on related products and services that may enhance your business. The second is benchmarking. So benchmarking to me is something you should opt into. So going back to that industry and category, we chose jobs and education. So by opting into benchmarking, basically what Google's going to do is share your data that it collects on your website, in this case demo.simplylearn.com. It's going to share that data anonymously with others in the industry, in this case, jobs and education. And because you've opted in, it's going to do the same exact thing for you. It's going to share anonymous data on other websites in the same industry. And the benefit of that is we get to see what other websites or how other websites are performing compared to ours. What's the benchmark in our industry? And so the benchmarking to me is important. And I'm going to go over that in a few minutes when we go over the different reports. But to me, I would always opt into benchmarking because this is the only report Google provides in analytics about how others in your industry is performing versus your website. Okay, so it's a way to compare your website performance against others in the same industry. The other options here, technical support and account specialist, I would also recommend you opt into those because then it allows you to basically allow Google access to your account, and they'll be able to help you if you occur or run into any issues. So these are the options in setting up a Google Analytics account. It's very simple, very easy to do. You're just entering in a few fields. Note that we talking about a website right now, so I'm talking about demo.simplylearn.com. But just know that if you want to track a mobile app, Google Analytics will allow you to do that as well. You just choose the option mobile app. So we're tracking a website. We want to know how users behave when they get to my website. And that's what Google Analytics is going to allow us to measure and look at. We just need to do a couple more steps in the process. So once we fill out these fields here, we're going to click Get Tracking ID. Now, I'm going to accept the terms of service. I'm going to accept another terms of service in relation to data protection. I'm going to click accept. Once I accept, I'm going to be able to get some tracking code. The tracking ID is the ID associated with your account. And so this number is going to be associated with your account. So your account ID starts with UA and it's going to be this number here. Now the -1 is the property you set up. So in this case, I set up demo.simplylearn.com. If I wanted to track multiple websites under that same account, then I can certainly set up multiple properties. Just know that every property I set up in that account is going to have a -1, -2, -3, -4, etc., depending on how many properties I set up. So by default, I set up one property, so my first property ID is -1. If I set up a second property, the same account number, it's just going to have a -2. And that's important because that ID, that account and property ID, is going to be associated with that particular property or website. So again, once you finish setting up the account settings, then you're going to be asked to add some tracking code to your site. And that tracking code is going to be related to the account and the property. So notice my tracking ID up here. Notice the tracking ID in the snippet of code. Now, this snippet of code needs to go on every page of your website that you want to track. And you don't have to put it on every page, but if you want to track website behavior on every page of your website, then it needs to go on every page of your website. So if you're using a platform like Drupal or Joomla or even more popular platform like WordPress, adding the tracking code site-wide is as easy as maybe adding a Google Analytics plugin to WordPress, for example, and then just simply plugging in the ID. Now, there's an alternative to adding the Google Analytics tracking code to your site, and that's Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager is the way I would recommend going. So if you're not familiar with Google Tag Manager, this is the way I would go, and I would recommend that in addition to having Google Analytics, you set up a Google Tag Manager account. And then that way you can put the tracking code in Google Tag Manager. So if I go to Google Tag Manager and I just go into an account on Tag Manager, I can just simply put in the Google Analytics ID right into Tag Manager. And so if I have it in Tag Manager, then Tag Manager is going to be the place that holds the code and fires page view when somebody comes to my website. So that way I don't have to add the tracking code to my website if I do it in Tag Manager. So that's the recommended method for me, is to add the Google Analytics ID associated with Tag Manager. If you can associate it with Tag Manager, then that's the easier route to go versus putting code on your website. Okay. Now, once you do get the tracking code on your website, whether that be through Google Tag Manager or through a plugin or, just simply adding the script to your site, to pages on your site, then what's going to happen is you're going to start collecting data. So that's ideally the way it works. You need to add this code to your website.